Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how happy I am that we are talking about this because everything is an exchange of energy, and music is such an amazing way to exchange energy in a matter of seconds. So I love it, brings me so much joy and so much happiness. And when I'm on stage, it's like time is happening fast and slow. And that's when I definitely can tell that I am in my element, just to be sharing good energy. And I want people to feel good. I want people to want to dance. I want them to feel motivated to make that decision or get out of that relationship. I mean, I'm all about just trying to help uplift people. So when I see the crowd interacting like that, I can't even put it into words how it feels. It means.
Have you passed me on the street? Said hello to me. Eat pineapple on pizza. Do you drink your whiskey neat? Do you like the quiet or the Broadway lights? Plan it all out or just roll the dice? It's always been playing on my mind. Who am I gonna know? Who's gonna be a no? Not just somebody, but someone.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Living in the Limelight. I'm your host, Jay Huller. As a quick reminder, please follow us on Instagram at Living in the Limelight Show and check out our website at livinginthelimelight.com. And of course, you can find our podcast through all the major streaming services, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Each week, we feature a conversation with a different artist where we delve into what makes them tick, and sometimes we get pro tips on pursuing a career as an artist. If you're a performer who would like to be considered for our show, check out the questionnaire at livinginthelimelight.com, and thanks, of course, so much for listening. Kirstie Kraus is thirsty for love and magic, for joy and sunshine. She's thirsty for compassion and authenticity. And above all, she's thirsty for anything that sets her soul on fire. She carries her thirst in her songwriting, her live shows, and in her everyday connection with other kindred spirits. She infuses this passion into her music, creating a perfect blend of country, funk, blues, and rock. Kirstie is a two-time Women of Country and JMA nominee, and she's releasing incredible music, including a new duet with Thomas Kavanaugh called Who Am I Gonna Love?, the track featured here with her episode. Enjoy this conversation with Kirstie as we explore what her art means to her and what she wants for her fans to experience. Let's welcome Kirstie Kraus to Living in the Limelight. Let's start way back at the beginning. I'd love to hear your story about where music started for you, because it's clearly a very powerful force in your life today. And I know it had to have had like a spark, moment, inspirations, all that kind of jazz.
Yeah, I was really sitting down and thinking about this recently because someone asked me, when did you decide to be a musician? And my mind went blank, and I was like, why do I not know? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, because I never decided. I really do feel that way. I feel like I kind of came out and I started singing. I was 2 years old, singing on picnic tables, taking requests. It just was a part of me to be an entertainer and make people laugh. And I've kind of always been a performer and a singer. So there was no really set moment. It just has always been.
And that's kind of the essence. That's really why this show started, because that propulsion or that energy, that desire to be there and, like you said, entertain people and get reactions is so curious to me, because not everyone has it. Some people, are fans. Some people want to watch and receive, and you want to provide and give. And I'd love for you to if you could dig into, like you said, it wasn't a conscious decision, but what feelings do you go through when you are on stage and you're seeing the smiles, you're seeing the voices or hearing the voices sing your songs? Can you sort of paint that? Because I'd love to get a sense of what it's really like.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I can't tell you how happy I am that we are talking about this, because everything is an exchange of energy, and music is such an amazing way to exchange energy in a matter of seconds. So I love it, brings me so much joy and so much happiness. And when I'm on stage, it's like time is happening fast and slow. And that's when I definitely can tell that I am in my element, just to be sharing, good energy. And I want people to feel good. I want people to want to dance. I want them to feel motivated to make that decision or get out of that relationship. I mean, I'm all about just trying to help uplift people. So when I see the crowd interacting like that, I can't even put it into words how it feels. It means so much to me, and I'm getting emotional right now about it. But I love it.
I'm so pleased to hear that, because sometimes when we're back listening, we're like, well, I wonder where this started, and the song, and like what they were thinking, and to really connect and hear that emotion in you just talking about it. It warms my heart, because I'm like, you know what, this is real. This is stuff that they're wanting to give. So if you could, would stage performance be the number one spot because it's direct and live to getting that immediate feedback, or is it also more like when someone puts a comment on social media about something, when you've done a new drop or whatever, is that adds into the picture too, or it's primarily the stage performance that you get fulfilled?
Well, yeah, that's extra on top for sure. There's so much that happens behind the scenes other than when we step on stage, and there's a lot of hats to be worn, especially as an independent artist. So when I get messages directly on social media, people from all sorts of walks of life, maybe a previous corporate job or grew up with them and went to daycare. I mean, you name it. And when I read stuff like that, that really encourages me on the admin side. I feel like the part that's not quite as fun, but we got to do it in order to get ourselves out there. So just seeing people that they are interacting on social media, and they see my posts are timely, social media is timely, but that's how we can ultimately connect. I mean, that's how I've been able to connect with so many people over in the UK, and now I have this UK duet, so without social media, you know what I mean? It's a thing. It's a thing out there to do, and when people are interacting and sending me messages, it definitely is appreciated.
Yeah, I can only imagine, because when I go onto those areas, if I'm looking on your page or I'm watching the comments, and, you get the whole gamut, but the ones that, kind of seem to be heartfelt and everything, if I try to swap my place with you, and well, that'd be kind of cool to hear, someone I've worked 6 months on a song and it's released, and someone just you know what, I woke up and turned your song on, and now today's totally different for me and for the better. I see those all the time, and I hope that lands really well for you, right? It's what you're saying. It helps you with the next stage and gets you going.
Oh, absolutely. And isn't that so cool that a song can hit to one person differently depending on the day, depending on what they're going through. And then sometimes I write music, even I'm just writing a song for myself, and it ends up being an encouraging song for others. But then 2 years later, I realized oh, wow, it's almost like I wrote this subconsciously for my future self. I think the element and the creativity behind making music, and when you really tap into that space and you just let the words and everything flow and come out, there's a totally different element that works with you. And I truly believe that, if you want to call it God or the universe, but I feel like he works through me in order to create the music that I do in writing rooms. There's been some really crazy moments that is unexplainable.
Yeah, jump into that a little bit, because as a layman, this is my vision.
Yeah.
That you sit down with a pen and paper and you're like, okay, what's going to happen today? And you just kind of let the words flow. But it's many times more than that, right? Is there a moment of inspiration? And what is a writing room?
Yeah. So a writing room is just a space that people block off time for. A lot of times you block off 4 hours, but it gets done before that. But make sure you have some time to get together, catch up a little bit, then just kind of pitch ideas to each other. And that's a cool element as well, is you don't know how people are going to feel that day. And so maybe you just got to be open to what hits as far as content and, oh, I like that hook better. Like, let's do that or whatever. So that I love that element of the not knowing and just kind of putting yourself on the spot. But I will share something that happened to me recently this year at RCA Studios. I was writing with Wood Newton, and he wrote the song Private Malone. And it's a big one in the country music world. And so I was sitting down with him and we were writing, and we got to the bridge, and we just he played through it on the guitar, and I just started singing a bridge, like in real time that was coming to me. And he looked at me with these big eyes, and I definitely did, in this old country kind of feel song, I threw in some Norah Jones flair to this bridge. And he was wide-eyed, like, what? I can't believe you just did that. And I was like, what? Is that okay? And he goes, I need to set my guitar down for a second. When I built this studio 2 years ago, I listened to the Norah Jones record nonstop. And like, that moment was it's just unexplainable kind of stuff, like I wasn't there 2 years ago when he was building the studio, but somehow picked up on that in just sitting in the room and ended up going out of my zone.
Did you mention Norah Jones, or was it the style, the tone, the flow of the
words?
Was
just, the flow of it was like how I did the melody and the words and and he just was like, what just happened? And that kind of stuff happens all the time. And it's a very special, moment. And I really love that song. It's called San Diego, and we did a whole demo of it. It's not released, but it was definitely a surreal moment.
That, and it's the goosebumps kind of thing. I mean, you're able to retell that story right now as if it happened yesterday, because it was such a vivid experience. And does that happen once in a blue moon, or is that something like when you work with art and you work with creation? Because I have no idea. Is it something that just kind of pops up every once in a while?
No, I mean, the more you are open to it, the more I feel like it happens. Or the more you write, like people are, it's encouraged to write in your journal every day, or just throw out your stuff, not be afraid, kind of trust your gut. A lot of times, let's say a carpenter in the moment, when he's in his element, he's working, he's on a flow that people from the outside looking in would be like, wow, look at him go. You know what I mean? Like, he's just in his zone, he's in a flow, and he's creating because that's what he's good at. So I really feel like everyone has that moment where they just like tap into that special space. And that's really what you have to be open to when you sit into the writing room. And a lot of times it's just subconsciously, I heard this song, so maybe a little bit of that melody is going to get in there. And these lyrics I read one time in a book, and it's all like subconsciously comes together to create, the song and put lyrics on paper with the melody.
Okay. And the writing room is constructed with the idea of supporting like the production of a song for one person, like you sort of gather people, or is it truly a collaborative thing and different artists might walk away with pieces for themselves to use later? I'm trying to visualize it.
Yeah. It can be both. Like sometimes it's very much for a certain person in the room, or it's their story, or you can tell they really identify it and it fits their category of type of music that they would release. So then that's obvious that it's for them. But a songwriter can also at any time go and release their version of the song because of the songwriting credits and how it works. So but a lot of times if you write a universal song and both people identify it, they can go out and perform that one. I still perform a lot of songs live that were made for other artists.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's good. So it's truly it's a collaborative giving of yourself to kind of see where is that for Nashville. Is that a very common thing? Would you recommend? Because I'm sure a lot of really, really young artists that are just trying to get a little traction. They're like, oh, Nashville, the Mecca, I've got to get there. And they might hold that place in high esteem. But once they're trying to play places like the Bluebird Cafe and where not. Do you recommend that they delve into other people and pull from other people and do these listening rooms too? Has it like been a great product for you?
Oh, absolutely. I think collaboration is, and just the act of doing and learning from other people, co-writing, and then you write this great song, and then they ask you to do a round, and it's the town of Nashville is all about supporting each other and networking, and hey, so and so told me to reach out to you, and they said we'd be a great fit to write together. It's so much a network.
That's so great to hear because just thinking about it from like an outsider's perspective is like, oh, well, they did their thing. And it's hard to imagine there's like a network of people really working together for each other's benefit. And I love to hear that because it sounds like an attractive place.
Yeah, I feel like I've also dove into this recently within the last year and a half, kind of on another level, only because depending on where I'm going in the country and what tour I'm doing, I bring a certain artist or play with an artist on stage, and that's collaboration right there and just the performance. And so now I think I've played with about 7 different artists this last year for various shows, and that's been really rewarding and fun to be able to share the element of like the performance end.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I see that happen a lot. And, the person who maybe they didn't even expect to be there, but they were like, yeah, come to the show. Oh, did you bring your guitar?
Yeah, like, come on up.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, I'd love to go a little bit back and contrast your Wisconsin days and how and when you decided to make the jump to go to Nashville and maybe bring in your past with you and your connections with you, and maybe paint that picture, because I know not everyone lives in Nashville, but if this is the country music capital and people who want to get there are from somewhere else, maybe you can give them some guidance.
Yeah, so it was always a matter of when I was going to move to Nashville, not if.
Okay.
I think the first time I came to Nashville, I was 11 years old, and we were actually, as a family, looking at magnet music schools
Okay.
for middle school. So thinking about moving the whole family and going to a very direct school for music. At the time, we ended up deciding to stay in Wisconsin. And in hindsight, I really am glad I did, because I have a home base there. OG thirsties is what I call them. But yeah, I did a lot of performing in Wisconsin, was in a couple bands. And I think that there's so much music celebrated up there, and especially during the summer months. So I was full time for almost 3 years in Wisconsin and made a living up there. So I really appreciate being able to, even now living in Nashville, continuing to go back and forth to do shows.
Yeah, that's good. And the more you can spread your art, the better, really, because you can get little pockets of places. Like you said, England is now kind of popping for you, and then eventually worldwide, right?
Yes, I mean, that's the plan. I was able to announce officially my being able to go over to London and play C2C with my duet partner, Thomas Kavanaugh. So the first time going over to the UK, I will be performing at the O2 Arena at their big country music festival called C2C. So I just got to announce that, and I'm overjoyed.
Yeah, is that
I'm overjoyed.
Like, I know you're excited. I can hear it, but is there a little bit of you, the little girl inside, that's like, oh my gosh, that's a huge place? Or are you now at the point where, you know what, it doesn't matter the size because you're so centered with what you're doing and the connection? I guess, is there any stage fright anymore for you?
Yeah, I do a lot of like visualization, I think, and I just picture exactly how I want the energy to be. And I keep coming back to that word, but I really feel like my main goal on stage is to make people feel good. So if I'm in that space and get there, and you know what I mean? And so if I'm visualizing that this is exactly how I want it to go, and I set the mood and I come out on stage, like, then we can all fully enjoy ourselves. There's not a moment of like, but I will say right after we solidified the plane tickets over there, I was definitely like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to London in the UK for the first time. This is something I've thought about so much since 2020 when I was starting to get, relationships over there and build relationships. And now this is happening like a whole year ahead of what I thought. Like, pinch me. I can't believe I'm going on a plane that long. And oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to be going on a train.
Yeah.
So I guess I get nervous for like stuff like that. But a lot of visualization helps me.
No, that's awesome. And I'm glad you said that, because I know professional athletes do it too. And I've heard like, Olympians will think about the whole course they're going to run or go skiing on. And for a musician to visualize the show, that's amazing. I didn't even think about that. I figured you guys walk on stage, plug everything in, and start doing. But like you said, there's an admin part of it, the thoughtful part of it beforehand. I think that's amazing. You mentioned thirsties, so I want to go into that because tell me kind of where the phrase was coined and what it means to you, and just all about that word.
Yeah, so I was in a band out of Wisconsin. I started it. It was my first project that I had started, and it was called Thirsty Jones. And thirsty rhymed with Kirstie, so I was like, gotta have thirsty in the name. And Jones ended up being, I just kind of was like, what could go with thirsty? And Jones was like a good like band family last name. Like I think I looked at like Johnson, I looked at Smith, I was trying to figure out like, and George Jones. So I was like, this works. Thirsty Jones, that's it. So then fast forward, I'm performing at a lot of the festivals, a lot of the beer tents up there with the band, and it was so much fun. And it just kind of happened. Like the fans that kept coming, my OG Thirsties, they started it. They started calling themselves the Thirsties. And I was like, I think that's adorable. That just stuck. And so I ended up making my Facebook group called Kirstie's Thirsties.
I love
it.
And
and so it's just fun.
That is so cool. And so boil the term down, because obviously the thirsty is, you're drinking something, but there's a deeper meaning to it, in the sense of they and you. It's a two-way phrase, I guess, is they're thirsty, craving for the fulfillment and getting filled up by the music. Am I going the right direction with it?
Yeah, totally. I also really, it was kind of a joke. I started writing songs with the word thirsty in it in different ways. So there's a couple songs, just one more on the record has the word thirsty in it. It says thirsty is my middle name. And I just started doing that as just keeping with the band name, keeping that out there, making sure people knew how to pronounce my name. But then it was more like the Thirsties were my rocks. They were the people I was excited to go out and see, and they were excited to consume the music and to just be a part of it. And so that's really what it's about, is the craving for the music and the good energy. And then we took it to another level and we had a long conversation about the song that would eventually turn into Thirsty. The song was originally called I'm Still Thirsty, but I shortened it for the record, the title. And that's just about, the yearning for love, because I really do feel like that's the highest thing we can do on this earth, is to just love and share that kind of deep connection. And that's what I yearn for and always strive for. And a lot of that is depicted in my bio on the website right now, and then just in the song. I have a deep fear in the song Thirsty, it talks about my fear of opening up to somebody else in a relationship on that level, because afraid of being hurt, but at the same time, I'm yearning for that love and connection. So there's like this conflict going on inside, and that's about as raw as it gets for me, I feel like, in a song.
Yeah, it's funny. The way you painted that just had me kind of boil it down to on a biological level. So, you have to have water to survive. It's part of life. And so innately you're thirsty. Your body's always thirsty. And so that's a constant, right? You have that yearning, like you said, but then you have the obstacle of am I going to be accepted, or will this love turn out? And so the thirst pushes you in the direction, but what happens after that is, what's going to happen. So I love that.
Exactly. I love it.
Good. I got it. Yes.
I love it.
Fantastic. Well, let's move into your songs a little bit, because I know you did just drop one on the 13th of this month, February, and talk about Who Am I Gonna Love, how the duet aspect came about, even a little bit of the recording of the song, anything that comes to mind, because it's a great tune, and I know people are they're loving it.
Thank you so much. Honestly, it's not a song that I was a part of writing, but the minute it was sent to me to my text message from my best friend, Crystal King, and I love the art of connecting people. So I introduced my tour mate, best friend, Crystal King, originally from North Carolina, to Thomas Kavanaugh, artist out of the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up writing together. This is their first time writing in person. And she just sent it to me, like, what do you think? And I was like, guys, for real? Like, I love this song. This is perfect. This is exactly what Thomas should be releasing.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe in this song so much, like, let's do it. I want to be on it. Well, Thomas and I very vaguely one time mentioned it'd be cool to do a duet. But I think it just zipped up into fruition very quickly when I heard that song. And I was like, let's go. So within the time of writing, when they wrote the song, to us sitting here now with it released, we're talking like 7 months. It was a very quick turnaround.
And what do you think? Can you contrast, because you've released a lot of music, and could you contrast a traditional solo song to a duet? Because I know there's obviously a dynamic on stage when you're singing with someone else, but preparing a song and delineating the parts and then the chorus together or whatever. Can you kind of contrast the dynamics between the two and where both kinds of songs take you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll also talk very specifically to this song as well. I think a true duet is where one of the artists kind of starts and then another artist comes in on the second verse. And then in this scenario for Who I'm Gonna Love, I come in on the second verse and an artist typically alternates the melody a little bit. And so I definitely had a session with Thomas via Zoom where I was working with the work tape and just like kind of figuring out what my part would be as far as changing the melody. And then a true duet too has some good, at least I would like to think, has some good harmonies in there. So this song is definitely driven by our harmonies together, and we had never sang together before. So I've gotten a lot of feedback recently that our voices blended and sound good together. And I was like, okay, well, that's great, because we really didn't know or thought about that element. We just knew we wanted to do a duet together. So when we finally got to hear our voices on top of each other, because we were recording it separately in different countries, it just kind of worked. And that was a blessing. But then I knew that Thomas, coming from his rock background, was going to bring additives at the end that were very true to his rock side that he's coming from. Yeah. And I decided it would be really great to lean into my countryside, the Leon Rimes influence that I have, and give that really country feel to kind of contrast. And I think it turned out, but these are definitely elements to think about when you're releasing a duet.
Yeah, absolutely. And then of course, so I guess when you head over to England for this, you guys will have a rehearsal or two, and you're gonna hear that layering of the voices live together for the first time, unless you've done it sort of on a Zoom situation. But what do you anticipate?
So we actually did get to perform it live.
Oh, okay.
Last week. We overlapped in town for 3 days.
Nice.
He came in to visit. So we got to perform it live 4 times. Like, out on a stage, and then 3 times in interviews. And it was a whole lot of fun to be able to finally kind of piecemeal that together, like figure out how we're going to get as close to the record, but also have a live element to it. And that was really fun to work out.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm glad you've gotten that groundwork in. So now that the record's out or the song is out and you've performed it live together, is it, and you'd pieced it together before, like you said, separately, is it have the magic and the feel that you thought? Is it totally different with a great spin? Were there any surprises like, oh, wow. Are you changing things a little bit about the song for the live performance?
Yeah, we definitely are, because it's different. And it's actually our approach to figuring out how we were going to do it live was kind of probably non-conventional. I'm very much a performing artist, so I tend to, instead of like the whole let's sit down in the living room for an hour and figure it out, sometimes I just like, let's figure it out on stage. Let's do what comes out. And that's, again, talking about the element of just like putting yourself on the spot and trusting your gut. And I feel like there's nothing more exhilarating. Like, it's kind of exciting because you just don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. So we did a lot of that, and then picked one of the performances because we got video on every performance, and we're like, okay, this is the one. Let's do it like this. So I'm going to have to go back and listen before I go over to London.
Yeah, that's amazing. It reminded me when you said that of the Norah Jones moment where you just let, what's going to come out. And then, of course you'll have different ones. And so you pick the one.
I do feel absolutely like, I do feel like when you put yourself in that space, what comes out is your artistry.
Uh-huh.
You're not thinking, you're just doing and feeling and letting it happen. And I feel in those moments on stage, a lot of times my true artistry comes out.
Absolutely. And because you're giving from yourself, right? And that's, especially for you who seem to be called to this from age 2 on the picnic tables, it's just in your blood, it's in your DNA to allow that gate to be opened is magical. And it's making all sorts of things happen for you, which is amazing.
Yeah, I just want to take a moment to say, like, you are giving me goosebumps. I'm absolutely enjoying this. I don't think I've ever gotten in this much depth about this, just the art. So I really appreciate this right now.
That means so much to me, because that's really what I want to have happen with this. Is I want artists to feel, this isn't the press corps. This is it's a conversation that lets you explore who you are and who you want to be and who you're sharing with us. And I'm so glad you said that. Thank you. I'm getting goosebumps too.
You're making me cry over here. So yes, I'm here for this so much.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's keep in your music a little bit. I think it's going to be a little bit of backwards chronology, but what about Delusional? Does that pull up anything memorable for you behind the scenes?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Delusional was so much fun. First of all, the music video, filming the music video and me attempting the robot, which is so bad, but so funny, but so bad. But it was such a fun day. I literally felt like I was hosting a 5-year-old's birthday party. And I remember I gave everyone mimosas and we had pizza, and I said, drink up because we're going to be dancing. And I'm going to expect you guys all to dance. And it was just a really fun day. So those are the people who decided they wanted to drink mimosas. They did so. But it was lots of laughs, and we had the whole day planned as far as what we were going to do for each moment. So we got it done very quickly, but it was still like a 5-6 hour filming day, and it was so much fun. Mm-hmm. But I definitely went out on a limb for my first release ever out of Nashville, and decided to do a throwback, decided to make a statement that basically said, listen, this is me as an artist, and I almost want to leave it where you never know what's going to be next. You never know, I don't want to be put in a box. I want people to be excited, like, what did she do this time?
Right.
And so I really do feel like that first song was a statement and was able to kind of introduce me into the community and differentiate myself.
Yeah, and that's super important because with lots of people around that want to do the same thing, if you're a little bit different, it's going to stand out. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And I love how you point back to the music video and that experience because what is that like for an artist to have the song's done? You've worked on it for months, years, perhaps. Maybe it was something you started 5 years old, and now it's finally that part's done, and you're like, well, let's put some images to it. And you start
Yeah.
creating that. What is that like? Is that do you have to step back from that a little bit and go, oh my gosh, is it an awe-inspiring moment to kind of appreciate your own craft?
When you watch it back, it's an awe moment only because it was so much work. I feel like that's a whole nother piece of the pie. It's not like writing, it's not like performing, it's not like emails. It's you got to think about something, and also like a photo shoot. Like I feel like people underestimate the amount of focus you have to have at a photo shoot. Now, like relax your shoulder, relax here. So you're doing that, but at the same time, you need to be lip syncing and you need to be thinking about the angles of the camera. And I've been really hands on with a lot of music videos. So I've been in the room after we filmed and done 6 hours worth of editing and choosing the right, I did that for Delusional a little bit, a lot of Gotta Do. But yeah, it's quite a feeling to have your song be depicted visually because I am such a visual person, and I do feel like there are a lot of people out there in the world that are very visual. So it's very special when you get to do that other element of around a song to help promote it.
Got you. So I think I know the answer to this question from what you just said, but if you were to gauge maybe in a percentage, so when you've created the song, you've got the vision in your head of what the song's about, how much of you visually, when you go to the director and who's creating the visual of this, who do you bring like a stenograph thing full of notes saying, I'd really like to see this, this, and this, and this, or do you turn it over and then after it's done, you kind of go, well, can we change this? Do you come in kind of like ready with a lot of stuff, or do you want someone else to depict it for you?
Yeah, so I definitely sat down and had the moment where I'm typing everything in a Google Doc. I'm, talking with a videographer, but in Delusional and Gotta Do, I came up with what we were going to do for those music videos. And those were my first 2 music videos. And then I was lucky enough to work with a videographer here in Nashville, Justin Hammond, for Silver and Thirsty. And that was back and forth. We basically started with a meeting where we pitched ideas to each other. And I tell you what, when he pitched me some ideas for Thirsty, he was like, okay, what do we want to go with? And I was like, are you kidding me? I thought it was obvious. That one idea, like, that was amazing. That's like a whole nother level of, this. So I was like, we're definitely doing that one. But then from there, definitely going to the drawing board and being like, okay, what is the setting? We got to find that. What do we need to rent a car? You know what I mean? Like we rented a car for Silver. What outfits? Who do we need to help that day? Like what kind of food do we need in the scene? Like just thinking about all the elements to bring it together and make it work. And Justin really took lead on all of that, even down to in the Silver music video. I remember he sent me like 4 options of Silver dresses. And then I just clicked the button and bought it on Amazon.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So it's a little bit of a mix, and it's evolving over time because it's changed for the different songs. But I always wondered about that because, like you said, it's a visual representation of the song that it needs to kind of show the audience what you were thinking you wanted to say, right? But not be maybe too much because we want the artist to have the fans come up with their own stories too. So I love hearing that, like, you're in the Google Doc and you're ordering the dress on Amazon. That's very hands-on and right there with it. And also that you're open to a director saying, well, what do you think about this? And that you love that.
Oh my gosh. And especially a director, like a director is so good at thinking about all the details as well. I would probably compare it to like planning events or a lot of people who don't maybe plan events planning their wedding. Like you're thinking about all those little details, how it's going to look, how it's going to come off on that day. That's kind of what you have to do behind the scenes to create a music video and make it happen.
Wow. Yeah, it's hard to take that for granted because we have our 3 minutes of glory while we're watching it, and then we turn to something else, right? But you've put in weeks and months to make it happen.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you for doing all that work. We appreciate it.
No, it was fun. It was worth it.
Well, I'd love to talk about Breedlove guitars because I noticed that is something that you use and cling to, and I'm always curious. I'm a gear person. I'm a drummer from back in the day, and so I can talk drums for hours. But guitars are kind of new for me. How did that come about? And what does that kind of the connection with them mean to you?
Yeah, so I have always been very interested in mini guitars, especially for traveling and getting on stage. I'm a small kind of package, so it's helpful to have a guitar that's a little thinner than normal and has that beautiful shape. It has the two curves on both sides. And then I actually got introduced to Breedlove after I started falling in love with like the mini series through this guitar player that played on my entire Yes You Can album. His name is Ford Thurston, and he was out on the road with Randy Houser at the time. And he said, "Hey, I have an opportunity for you to come and meet with the Breedlove team and do a photo shoot for their Small Eco series. What do you think about this?" And so I, long story short, I'm there that day doing a photo shoot, and the conversation continued, and now I'm a sponsored artist with Breedlove, and very happy with my Mini Eco series, and it's been very trusty and reliable on so many shows this past year.
That's so cool. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about size being of a guitar being a factor, because I just think you throw it in the case and that's it. But you're right. If you're going to sit in a small area but still want that rich sound of guitar, it in a smaller form, it can be beneficial. That is
100%. Cool. Yes, and it doesn't feel as bulky on stage too. I really like to move around when I'm playing, and I find that the smaller guitar is, it fits with my arm around it, and then I can easily like move around and not feel so contrived.
Yeah, not so encumbered by something right in front of you and blocking everything. That's really cool. I hadn't thought about that. Well, that's so cool the way that happened too. Do they still call upon you to do photo type stuff for promoting the products?
I know that. Okay, so they tagged me on a bunch of stuff. I've seen at NAMM they had a banner up with my face on it, because I'm the only artist that represents that specific series of guitar for them. So they put me on the cover of their summer magazine last year, and I'm actually sitting in my living room right now, so I'm looking at a clock with a picture that we took, which is so random. I guess they had a bunch of promotional material, and they shipped it out to all of the music stores in the country. And one of my mutual friends, artists, works over on the other side of town at this music store, and she goes, "Hey, I'm going to send you this picture. Do you want this clock?" Like, it was so funny. She reached out, and I was like, I think said, "Wait, can I have that? Would you guys mind?" And she's like, "No, not at all. Let me ask my boss, and then I'll let you know." And so then I ended up driving across town to pick up a clock with my face on it and a Breedlove, and I just thought that was, just
very
something
unique
that you don't see every day. Yeah.
No, I haven't, in my whole life, I don't think I've seen many clocks that are personalized to that degree. So congratulations. That's kind of like a little trophy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It was funny, and I'm glad I have it. And
it reminds me, the banner you mentioned at NAMM. So what is it like for you to see that? I don't think, it sounds like you weren't warned, and then you're just walking down the hall there and you're like, "Oh, okay." There I am. what does your mind go through, emotion wise? Like, oh my gosh, look at me, or oh my gosh, I can't believe that's me. What's your reaction? You like build
Yeah, I'm
words and
trying
that
to
kind of
think
stuff.
of the words. Or like to be on the cover and you don't know that you're going to be on the cover. I've had that
Yeah.
happen a couple times. There's definitely like a thrill of excitement, like that little girl I feel like inside of me is like jumping up and down, like,
Aw.
yay, go you. You know what I mean? Like, keep going. Let's do this. Like, it's more brings that like little kid smile, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Look at that right there. Okay, like
Yeah, just
it's
sort of
just
like an
a fun moment.
an
Yeah.
innocent little
Mhm.
appreciation of it. That's so neat.
Yeah.
And
That's how it feels.
is it the same or different for like autographs and when you have encounters with fans? Because I always like I wonder this, if there's a line of 50 people waiting for an autograph and you're going through and it's like, oh, thank you so much, and you get your 5 seconds with the artist. What are those experiences like for you on your end, like delivering personalized experiences to your fans?
Yeah, I think the meet and greet lines I love when I go out there and it's like, okay, but I'm more in like work mode where I'm like, all right, I need to not make these people back there wait
Mm.
45 minutes to an hour, because I've been there, and that sucks. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
sometimes it's my family's also there too. So I'm more in mode at that time to like juggle. Okay, let's like talk to people and stuff. But it's when people come up to me and they say something really heartfelt that kind of like stops me in my tracks of work mode, and I'm like, that was really sweet, or like, oh, I love that. Or they specifically say, hey, your song better. I love to listen in my car,
Uh-huh.
and then I'm like, that's really cool. It's awesome. But I love to be able to come out and meet people, sign the posters. It's, it like it makes my day. That's the reason why I do what I do, is for the love of the music. And I also love the people aspect of it.
That's so cool, and I love the way it sort of can vary, and there's a business aspect of it too, because like you as the artist see the line and you want to meet everyone and fulfill that, and so I got to keep things moving, so this and that. But then if someone has some heartfelt things to share, you pause and give them that
Yeah.
moment. That's super special. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk future. I know you said you might be crossing the pond here soon, and do you have some other like festivals coming up? Can you lay out what's ahead that you know for sure, and then maybe even what you'd love to have happen, like some ideas that are sort of boiling in your brain right now that may come to fruition, or just to throw it out there? Because I'm a big fan of, like, if you throw something out into the universe, there's a better chance it's going to happen. So what would be some pipe dreams of yours, venues to play, people to work with, that kind of stuff? So reality and dreamy land.
Yeah. Okay. So reality, what I'm looking forward to is I'm playing a couple festivals this year for the trap rock community. And the two main buckets I've been focusing on the past couple of years have been the Florida scene, the trap rock, the easy listening, writing fun beach songs, and then also going and planning for the UK. And so right now I'm currently in conversations about a 2024 tour, and have some verbal confirmations for that. No contracts yet, but super excited to think about and start planning the possibility of going over there for 4 to 5 weeks um, in 2024, right in that second quarter. So I'm super excited for those tangible things, and more music to be coming out. There's another. I can't say too much about the music. I wish I could, but more
fine.
music coming out. And right now, just celebrating the single, being able to go over and play C2C, and just doing interviews, and having a music video come out around Who Am I Gonna Love. So
Nice.
the things tangible right now. Future stuff, I have a vision board. I write things down. I also write sentences down with my vision board. So it's not just a visual thing. I wrote it down as well. And stuff like being on the Bobby Bones show, and playing at the Opry, being named Next Women of Country. Those are all part of my goals and paths, and being able to play the big festivals like South by Southwest over here, or even traveling to Canada. These are just stuff on my bucket list, and the next goals on the horizon. Mm-hmm.
Well, I can't think of a thing on that list that doesn't sound very possible given your trajectory and the way things are going. And I know a lot of great things have got to happen your way because you're coming at it from the heart, from the desire to connect with people, and that's so pure. And
thank you.
Yeah, I can foresee it. So I'm going to be thinking on those things too for you and hoping they really happen. As we close, can you spell out for us kind of the best way for fans to support you now, how to reach you, all that, the socials jazz, your website? Give us all of it. I'll be sure to put it at livinginthelimelight.com, of course, on your personal page. But to hear through the podcast too would be great.
Yes, this may sound cliche. I'm on all the platforms, so it's
Just all the platforms.
YouTube is great. I really love Instagram as far as direct messaging. It's my favorite. I am active on Twitter because a lot of the UK connections are out of Twitter. Out of the UK are on Twitter. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of on all of them. I do a little posting on TikTok and Facebook and even LinkedIn. And so social media is definitely, if you want to find out where I'm performing, go to any of those platforms or go to KirstieKraus.com.
Perfect. And I think it's at your stage right now, you have someone to handle that, because that's a list. I've talked to some artists that they have a website, maybe Instagram, so a couple of places. You have a lot. So I
definitely have help behind the scenes, but it can be, my phone has notified me. Here's how I'll put this. My phone's notified me that there have been days where it's 15 hours on the phone, and that sounds so disgusting, but I really like it. So I've gotten the blue light glasses that help.
Good.
I've just stuff like that. Obviously I can't be on my phone that much every day, and I do try to take breaks where I'm going for a walk and just shutting it off, but I'm kind of a workaholic, so it's hard.
Oh, I totally understand. I'm the same way. In fact, my wife just today said, "Oh, do you have the blue filter on your phone? Do you have the all?"
Oh, yes.
Because I was in front of the computer for many hours yesterday. So I'm so glad you mentioned that. Super important.
Yes, it's very helpful for the eyes. I feel like, if people don't know about this, look into the blue light glasses and make sure you put that filter on your phones and your computers, because it definitely helps.
Absolutely. Save those eyes. They're important.
Yes.
Well, Kirstie, it has been a pleasure. I love the way you're headed, what you're doing, and this has been a fantastic conversation. I think we both got goosebumps, so that's amazing. And I can't wait to see what's next from you. Will you check in with us and come back on the show maybe after the tour, or let's say after your travels over in England? We'll call it that for now.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I've appreciated this and today so much, and we really dug into a lot of stuff. So thank you for making this happen and for helping me celebrate the new music. Who am I going to love out? I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. And I guess since we set the bar so high, the next time we talk, we're going to have to dig even deeper. Does that sound like a plan?
That sounds fun. Yes, I'm here for this.
Perfect. All right. So great to meet you. And I love talking to you, and we'll talk soon. All right.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Seek what you won't find, what's right before your eyes. The one who's gonna fill all those lonely nights. Are you looking just like me? Or are you blinded by your big dreams? Are you a rock star in the shower, or an angel in your sleep? Do you like the sunrise or the night? Do you curse under your breath when things are going right? somebody, my someone, who's gonna be the first to take me at my worst and make me better than I was. Who am I gonna love?